Hi everyone. This is Arjuna. Sorry, no, I'm sorry. This is Queen, aka Professional High Priestess. And I'm here to do basically a video for you guys, something quick. And I told you guys I'm going to start reading what we call Fengas and hieroglyphs, and teaching about different hyperdimensional cultures on here, and the languages that they speak, which is basically our spiritual practice of the ancestors. So I told you guys I had to take a break for a while because there was a lot of bullshit happening, and I just want to take a break. And I got a lot of DNA upgrades and a lot of upgrades to like just my energy overall and my spiritual gifts, and it's been very interesting. As some of you guys have been inside, there's this crazy virtual reality simulation that has happened. Hi. Okay, awesome. There's this virtual reality simulation that happened where everyone in the spiritual community came in, and a lot of the fake high priestess got exposed, but a lot of the good high priests and high priestesses, they met their soulmates. They got together. They got an upgrade to their gifts, and now they're out there doing the work for the community. So one of the things that's really prevalent right now is a lot of people are getting exposed as fake high priests and high priestesses. And this is the problem in the spiritual community. A lot of people want clout for seeming spiritual and talking spiritual and knowing certain things, but they don't want to go ahead and do the work, right? That like, you have to like maybe be celibate. You can't be like blacked out drunk every weekend. You can't be involved in death rituals. You can't be using black magic on people. You can't be stealing or lying or cheating or doing anything like that, right? You have to like be like, your walk has to be like pure and solid. A lot of people are not ready for that. So now what's happening is a lot of us who walk that walk, remember I talked about with this, we're doing our auditions, right? We did our auditions, we passed our test, and now we're moving to the next level where we're going to be getting a lot of different spiritual gifts, getting our soulmates, our twins, abundance, and all of that. While the people who lied, misused the name of God, used other people's energy to shield themselves from karma and stuff like that, misused and abused other people's works, lied and usurped other people's works, they're getting their karma right now because it's judgment season right now, right? Collectively, especially with this North Node in Gemini that is wrapping up very, very soon. And it's with the 10 of Swords energy, 8 of Swords being soulback, spiritual jail, and mental jail, and actually real jail, right? And karma, right? That 9 of Swords, that sleepless nights, that gossip, those scandals that are coming out, and the 10 of Swords, harsh people ending, and also that what we call the dead zone, aka the void, meaning that your mind is void. You are no longer able to tap in and collect information and knowledge. You just sound like a repeating drum, like or like a revolving door, right? You guys know I'm ghetto. So let me put on my chapstick. Now, something that I wanted to talk about today was basically the fake high priest and high priestess. So you guys know I used to talk about the story of Neferkapata, and I always bring that up. And in the story that they talk about, it says that Neferkapata was basically a high priest in ancient Kemet. And what he did was a priest approached him and said, hey, I have a special magic book, and this book is going to give you ultimate power. You'll be able to do this. You'll be able to do that. Da 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 da. And Neferkapata, he was like, okay, good. I want to learn about this book. I want to get into that. Can you show me? And the guy was like, okay, this is how you go. First, you have to pay me this amount of money, right? He's like, okay, that's fine. And then, okay, good. I'll tell you. This is what you're gonna go do. You're gonna go down to this river. You're gonna kill this snake. You're gonna do that. There's a box within a box within a box within a box, and then you get the book. Then what ended up happening with Neferkapata, when he started reading this book, what happened first? His son got pulled into the Nile, right? Then his wife got pulled into the Nile. Then finally, he tied the book to himself and threw himself in the Nile because he's like, I know I'm going to pass away anyways. And a few of his priests went with him, 3 of them. But the story with Neferkapata is it gets deeper because Neferkapata has a mate, and she's Neferkapata Tuasisna, right? So he's the high priest of knowledge, and she's the high priestess of knowledge, right? So because you guys, that's how they speak it in the Kemetic language, right? So they both went down with that whole book. But this was the thing, he was usurped. How he was a real high priest, a fake high priest. A group of fake high priests, high priests and priestesses came to him. They were like, okay, we're gonna have this big plot to usurp him and steal his work because he was dedicated to God. Neferkapata made the Egyptian tarot. He made tarot. He created tarot. This is his work. So this tarot that you see here, this is Neferkapata right here. On this is the original tarot. Neferkapata, because they took his hieroglyphs and then they were like, oh, we're gonna put it on tarot. The Egyptologists, right? the person that made this is one of the main Egyptologists, his son. He didn't have any money, so he's like, I'm gonna make this deck. This is Neferkapata right here, because he's also a warrior as well, as much as he was a psychic, an artist, about knowledge, and an educator. Right. This is one of the illegal priests that on the Knight of Swords that tried to take his work. Right. So now with Neferkapata, what ended up happening was the illegal priest, they put a magic on him to make it seem like he was from his bloodline. It wasn't. He wasn't from his bloodline, because he was like, why would I listen to somebody that got me in trouble? So then when he went down there to go, kill the snake that they said that he killed was Tianu, aka Hydra, right, aka Tiamat, right, who we know as like Tiamat, right? Because they say the world was named after somebody named Tiamat. Tiamat is the primordial serpent, and her mate is Leviathan, right, the serpent that we all learn about in the Bible. And there's a lot of misinformation about that. They were separated. He was binded to the planet. He's now free. And Hydra was binded to the sky, right? Which is Nu and Geb. There's a lot to go into that. So Neferkapata, he had to go to the Duat because they say you killed Tianu. His wife went and he went, right? And the funny thing is Neferkapata, his wife, his mate is my higher self. And then Neferkapata is my mate, his higher self. So recently what just happened in the spiritual realm is they were actually vindicated and freed. They were released from the Duat. They went down there. She had her children down there, right? They're still alive. People don't die in Kemet if that doesn't exist. Right. So they're looking for all these different tombs. Those are the illegal priests. Those are people who are not Kemetic. And those are individuals who they fell off because they were getting involved in haram activities like fuckery, like threesomes or sleeping with each other. Because why they usurp Neferkapata is so they can bring what we call the illegal priestcraft. Basically, sleep with other men, and that's how you get spiritual power. Women, you sleep with each other. Get involved in threesomes. Put period blood in your man's food and drink, and that's what's going to make him like love you. Right. So that nonsense was going on after he was usurped and they took his works. Some of the most like amazing works, he helped build the pyramids. Some of this magic that you guys are even playing with, it started with Neferkapata and then they bastardized it. Like Fudun came from Kemet. Right. So now that Neferkapata is out, what's happening? All the illegal priests and high priestesses are getting reprimanded because he's like, I didn't ordain you. She's like, I didn't ordain you either. So a lot of stuff was getting into the hands of the wrong people, right? And there was a lot of chaos and a lot of drama. High priestess, professional high priestess, how long were they down there? 8 million years. 8 million human years, right? So because of that, we had slavery, which is called the Great Disrespect. We had a lot of people who were very powerful pass away. We had a lot of chaos happening even across the galaxy and in the universe because our ancestors are actually what we consider aliens, which is basically just a hyperdimensional species. They just live in a different planet. There's different Earths. I talked about this Alpha Centauri. Go look at it. People actually live there. I told you guys to go look at the different companies that talk about this all the time. They're real. They have FedEx for the moon. It's called Moon Express. They're not going to the moon. They're going to Alpha Centauri, where there's a lot of white people that live. They have FedEx. They have TJ Maxx there. They have Macy's there. They have McDonald's there too. It's very interesting. So now that Neferkapata is out, what does that mean for the fake high priest and the fake high priestess? That means that they're going to be getting their karma. And you guys have been noticing a lot of the people in the spiritual community, you watch them, they're coming up with this new information and new knowledge. They're stealing it from the virtual reality simulation that we're in because they're using it for Judgment Day, right? So some people are like, hyperdimensional languages of animals. Do you know about this, about astrology? Da-da-da-da-da. And you're turning an eye, you're like, side eye. Where did you get that? They're getting it from the ancestors that are speaking to me and other high priests and high priestesses in that space, right? And a lot of high priests and high priestesses are going to start coming out and talking about, no, that's not where they got it from. This is where they got it from. They're frauds, they're liars, they're this, they're that, right? So I'm going to read out a few hieroglyphs too. And I know you guys are waiting for the Patreon episode. I'm going to continue a lot more of this on the Patreon episode. Right, but I'm going to just read out a few hieroglyphs and Fengas. Basically, Fengas are basically Buddhist like version of hieroglyphs. And then in Odanani, which is our in the Nigerian Igbo tradition, we also have something called it's not called a hieroglyph. It's called an ingwaragwasanawana, meaning basically like something made of metal or wood or paper that has ancient and spiritual scribings in it that are for divinatory purposes or letting people know your ranking as a high priest or a high priestess. So we used to have like these big doors and big walls and paint our houses. That's how we would speak spiritually to people. But in ancient Egypt, they would have like temples and tombs and papyri covered with different hieroglyphs that will speak to you, right? So I'm going to read a few for you guys, and then you guys are going to have to start to think about, okay, who do I want to be? Because if you're claiming that you're a high priestess, but you're playing with dual spells, right? Like basically putting your feces and urine in jars and putting people's like photos and stuff like that in there. You're not a high priestess. If you claim you want to be a high priest, but you're like spiritually attacking like real high priest and real high priestess, you're not a high priest. So now what's going to have to happen is the fake high priest and the fake high priestess, they're going to get reprimanded. They are right now. A lot of them have passed away. A lot of them are not even on this planet. A lot of them are in the Duat. And I talked about that. Some of you guys who are really high scientists, you know that you can go to the Duat alive, right? There's a lot of white people who are in the Duat alive. Right. Neferkapata, because he was set up and lied on, he was in the Dua alive with his children. He's been vindicated. That wasn't the story. He didn't go searching for knowledge and play with some magic book. He was tricked and set up with black magic. Okay. Well, he's there with Ampu, aka Anubis, right? Who now has a mate, Ampupa, right? So now it's Ampu and Ampupa, the masculine and feminine, handing out judgment because he needed some help. Okay, well, Ampu knows this stuff. Did he read the Akashic records? What about the scales? The scales were completely balanced. Then why? Because they did magic. They did magic to cover up his eyes. They did magic to cover up his heart. They did magic to skew his judgment. So there's a lot of rectification right now. A lot of people that went to the Dua because of black magic rituals done on them, or they died from spell work, or they were talked about so badly that that energy completely covered them and they were covered in the Dua, they're getting out like Sam Cooke, right? And a lot of you guys who watch that documentary or know his story know, okay, that's how you get put in the Dua by other people doing bullshit, right? Right. JFK was even in the Dua for a little while. Why? Because the way that he was killed with black magic first and then assassination, and how people were playing with his energy. There's a lot of people who were there that did not deserve to be there. There's a lot of people who are not there that are going back there. Like the what's that? Colonel Sandals from KFC. He's not in the Dua, but he's not in a good place. Why isn't he there? He was a slave master, because people loved him so much, especially melanated people. Oh, I love that. I love that chicken. I love that stuff. And we gave him so much of our energy that he was able to get out of the Dua. Do you see what I'm talking about? Right. So by us doing our studying and staying in alignment with the real high priest and real high priestess, the originals being Neferkapata and Neferkapata Assassina, we are able to actually help these ancestors who basically had their works usurped, who didn't get vindicated, who got put in the Dua, or who had fucked up stuff happen to them because people were misusing and abusing their works or trying to usurp them and put them in fucked up situations. Right. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I'm going to show you guys some of these Fengas and I'm going to read them out. And you're going to like, oh, I understand that completely. Right. I told you guys I'm not reading tarot anymore. I got a whole new set of stuff for you. Now, let's get into this. Okay, High Priestess, what is this? Right. This is not a Heru, aka Horus. This is another Netaru. His name is Agrawangwanguanzanar. Basically, the high priest that will ordain the high priest who ordains other high priests and high priestesses, right, for high knowledge. And then this is Tahuti. They work together, right, but they are not mates. He has a mate and she has a mate. A lot of even the Netarus that we know of, it needs to all be completely rewritten because a lot of those Netarus that we know, basically, they were a part of usurping him because that was his job in ancient Kemet, right? Right? So like there's like high priest of divination. He was also involved in that. High priest of art. Imhotep is a high priest of medicine. He has a mate. People don't know her name. Her name is Neferkapata Imhotep Nakapasatwasingina. Right, exactly. So people don't even know that. And that's because a lot of this bastardization of his work and taking of his work and misusing and abusing his work. Right. Exactly. So now this is Tahuti. Tahuti is basically the high priest of all knowledge and all spirituality. Tahuti is over him, right? But they work together. So even with the Netarus, there's going to be a lot of rewriting of the Netarus and upgrading of the Netarus. So now Neferkapata has upgraded, right? Because when you're a Netaru, so for instance, Neferkapata is Imhotep's higher self, you see? And then Neferkapata's higher self was Assar, right? Like Assar and Set, that was his higher self. Because remember, he was usurped by Set, right? That chopped him up. He had to be the ruler of the underworld. Now he's moved up in his place, and now he's ascended into a new Netaru. You see, so that's actually happening right now too in the ethers. And you're like, how is this all happening all at once? Because there's certain astrological transits, but certain stuff is being rectified, and a lot of people are moving out of the illusion of white supremacy, which started this. You guys remember I read that thing about the illegal 13. It was those illegal alien white people that came to Kemet and started all that bullshit that binded him. No, we want to clone ourselves, which is what they do. No, we want to bastardize the black and white, the black man and the black woman, and have them fighting and being involved in fuckery and madness. No, we want to be nasty and running around with period blood all over ourselves and not practice like hygiene. No, you can't stay here then. Okay, so then you have to go. Right. No, we want to start warfare and drama because white people are like naturally psychotic, those aliens. Right. Right. Let's get into this. So now, this is where they ordained him with these two vials of liquid, right, where they were covering his aura. Because that right here, this is saying my aura is charged with the energy of basically the energy of high knowledge that also comes with high respect and high honor, right, and high dedication to my studies, to my practice, to my priesthood. Right. I am now also covered with the basically, I'm now covered with the essence of God. It's God themselves, and connected to the highest force of God, which is the highest form of man and highest form of woman. I am now both in one. Right. And she went through the same initiation too. Exactly, by the Netarus. Exactly. And a lot of you guys did not know this, but Tahuti and Sekhmet, they're still alive, these Netarus. Why don't we see like 36-foot like beings with the head of like a certain animal walking around? Because they're in outer space, they have to leave the planet, right? Kemet exists, it's in a different planet. You guys didn't even know that because a lot of this information has been banned from us because of the drama and chaos that's been being created right now as we speak by NASA, as well as Tesla. This is why they're trying to send Tesla to the moon. They've been done that. They're just not letting you guys know because they got caught up, and it's like on the United States government website. It's called the Space Commission. I talk about this all the fucking time. I told you I met this lady like years ago. It's a Black woman that's the head of that. You guys do not know this, but as we speak, they are writing laws to ban white aliens from this planet because they are coming here, starting human trafficking rings, running sacrifices, and doing a whole bunch of fucking bullshit. Right. So they had to expose a little bit of what they were doing. Right. And that's one of the reasons why, even though I don't agree with him, he's kind of a karmic, Elon Musk, that's why they were demonizing him, because he was like, they're controlling me. They're trying to make me work with these people, using my company, using my works, using those Teslas to traffic people and do all kinds of stuff. They have different types of Teslas. Teslas have spaceships. Yes, there's people who are even watching my channel that they work in the factory. They have spaceships. What do you think they're doing with NASA? They're talking about opening up a new space portal in Georgia, right? A new space station. Okay, what are you doing out there? They're doing all this fuckery, playing with spell work, right? And these hyperdimensional beings, right? Looking for our ancestors. That's not possible. A lot of these planets are completely invisible. You know that movie Avatar? That movie Avatar, those beings are real. She's actually, one of them is very near and dear to my heart, her and her mate. They're the king and queen of that planet. Her name is Irnagragagum, right? Meaning I'm the queen of this planet, that it's all about God and all about self-righteousness and salvation, right? And we deal with the Iwa, which is basically the feminine essence of God. Exactly. Those are real beings, you see? So they're going out in space and playing games. Now I have to tell you guys a little bit about that. So now you see this. Okay, he's a real high priest. He was ordained. This is hieroglyph. All these other Netarus, where are their hieroglyphs? Anai, Papyrus of Anai. When you say, okay, who's Anai? Because you guys know about that, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Anai was an alien. I'm going to show you who he was. You're going to be like, oh. Right. When you see him, you're going to be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because we don't have our heads shaped like that. Right. Right. I'm going to show you this real quick. You're going to be like, oh, heck no. I can't wait for the next episode, right? Because I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I just have to give you guys a little bit. Right. So now people are going to start talking about this. Like, yeah, aliens and this and that. But where'd you get that from? Right. Because if you're not ordained, then you're stealing. Right. And what do we call somebody that steals? We call them Dodo Mickey. Remember, guys, I talked about that Dodo Mickey energy, that a lot of these karmics are stealing your energy, stealing your work, and they get covered with eyes. Right. They get their whole entire body ends up being covered with eyes. I'm going to show you guys one more time because a lot of people are going to be walking around looking just like Dodo Mickey, and they're going to be looking game goofy. This is Anai. Right. This is Akhenaten. Anai, right, you see them right here in ancient Kemet. That's his mate. She's a white female alien. That's what they look like, right? This is Anai, right? Professor Anai. He usurped his book, his works, right, and exposed it. He was not supposed to do that, and it started a lot of bullshit and drama that ended up fucking him over at the long run because the whites that he gave it to ended up usurping him. This is Anai, right? This is him right here, right? This is also one of his creations. This is real. This is real, right? Right. So when you watch these TV shows and you see these aliens, they're actually very much real. They're exposing their image so they can come to planet Earth. And I created these white aliens and also the green ones that you see that look like you guys know the green big-headed aliens? Those are actually real. They work with the Department of Defense. Right. These ones. They're very ignorant. Yeah. These are also real too. Right. They're very real. They work with Area 51. These are the Greys. They're different from these ones. The Greys are actually better than these ones. People are like, the Greys are coming. The Greys, you want to deal with the Greys versus these ones. They're very disgusting and very ignorant. Right. Because I've dealt with them. Don't even ask me how. It's like a whole bunch of bullshit going on. When you get high up spiritually, it's like, oh, okay. So you mean to tell me that I'm about to get gang stalked by aliens because I'm spiritual? Yeah. And if you haven't dealt with that, you ain't a high priestess. But that's what I am, basically. But I'm also an alien. So who wants that smoke? Right. So now let's go deeper. I'm gonna show you something else. Let's get back into this. Let's look into this. Right. So this is a Buddhist Fenga. And basically, like I said, a Fenga means the inscription of the gods, the inscription and the writing of what God wants you to know, see, and feel and hear in the Buddhist Tibetan tradition. That's what a Fenga means, right? Because Fengas are very spiritual. When you see the artwork, you also feel it and understand it. It's a very powerful gift to be able to read these things. This was the priest that usurped, the fake priest, the illegal priest that we talked about last time that tried to usurp Neferkapata. He's in the Duat now. These are the different priests that worked with him. All of these ones are the ones that worked with him throughout the whole entire universe. They weren't just from Kemet. They're from all different type of works, because Neferkapata was known all over the world, and he would teleport to different places. And this is where the word nigger comes from, because the white person, basically, aka the Slavs, they created that word. It's against Black royalty. Oh, the nigger is here. And that basically means a Black person who was of royalty, because we could teleport, wash your ass, clean this place. What's going on? Okay, I'm on to the next place. That's where they created that word from. So that word is now returned back to white people. They're officially the niggers now. So I know people don't want to hear me say that word. Some people are jolted by it, but it was screamed so much at me by these aliens that I was like, oh, so that's what that's you, right? So now, here you have the story, and it's saying, I am the illegal priest that usurped Ingraka Dwangarar, aka the greatest high priest to ever walk this planet, aka Neferkapata, right? And here I am showing you all the illegal priests and priestesses who walk with me, who will also die with me. They do not know that they will die with me. I am wearing this crown. This crown means that I have the mark of a beast, because you see the crown, there's one crown and then there's another part of the crown, and his head is kind of septum by the crown, right? This means that I went and I tried to steal the crown, and I only received the crown of thorns instead, is what he's saying. This red bead around my neck means that I am cursed. I am cursed in my speech. I am cursed in my walk. I am cursed in my behavior. I am cursed in the way that I see. Do not come near me. I will destroy you, right? Him being dark skin means nothing. Right. But this is saying when it was painted like this, because remember, we're melanated. So we're brown. Right. Which is why there's a lot of racism in the Asian world, because they're oh, that's Black. That means they're a demon. Nah, that means that they did something foul. When you're painted Black like this and these different things, that means that you have you are in the Duat, because the Duat is dark. That means that you are carrying darkness onto you, because we're melanated. We are not Black. Sometimes we just say, oh, we're Black people, we're African American, but we are not, or African, but we are not Black, or Indigenous, but we are not Black. Right. We are melanated. Right, because what makes our skin, what gives the skin coloring? Melanin, right? Which when they came to ancient Egypt, the white aliens try to take that and use it in serums and make different type of potions and shit like that. It's just ridiculous, right? So he's still upset. So now it says here, I am one of the illegal priests who came to usurp Ingraka Dwanganer. And what happened to me was I ended up getting binded. Do you see my legs? I have none. My feet are binded in the space where I stayed to come and bind him in ritual. When I walked away, I left with no legs. I am now stuck here, right? He's trapped and binded in some place. This one is saying, I also helped. I was so involved that they also painted my skin Black. Now my job is to go out onto the real high priestess and implant a demon seed on her so I can get my original coloring Black. My original coloring back and get out of the Duat. That is Seth. This is Seth. You know, the story Seth and Osiris. His name is Sita, or they call him now Ingraka Dwanganer, aka the person who's so stupid they thought they could usurp God, but ended up dealing with the devil, and the devil doesn't want to even deal with them. That's what that means, right? So now here you see his crown, and this is a crown of fire. And this is saying that I will always be angry. I will always be reckless. I will always be sad. I will always do things that destroy myself. I am bonded to this energy. I will never see happiness. My body will be filled with flames. I will never see peace. That's what he's saying right here. Right. And all these are saying, I regret it. I regret it. I regret it. I regret it. That's what they're saying in this Fenga. Right. Very interesting. And he says, I sit on the throne of hell. I am the new devil. And he is. Thank you. Right. Right. So now let me read off something else for you guys, because I had a few other things too. And this is also him too. And this is a Buddhist Fenga as well. And this one is not as like detailed as the other ones, but this is saying this person's mind, this person's consciousness is clouded by sex and drugs, lust and power and control, the need for dominance and the avoidance of who they truly are. Lack of connection to the ancestors is right here. And it's how the cloud is swirling and how many rounds are on the cloud. That's how you read that, right? And where the cloud is positioned around their head. Because sometimes they're completely covered by clouds. Sometimes it's just one cloud, like kind of like going towards their head or moving away from their head. If it's on the left or on the right, it's also different too, right? Very interesting. Now he has this halo around his head. This is saying, I'm completely blocked from any higher knowledge. I'm completely blocked from a higher self. I have no higher self. I will usurp you through sex and I will become your higher self. This green says, I am filled with envy and jealousy and bitterness for what I have done. Now you see her head is moved here. If it was on the other side, that means that I'm with my original lover. We are together. Her head is here. I am being usurped. Please let me go. I cannot get away from him. He has tied me. He has binded me. He is sucking up my basically he is sucking up the original nectar that I was given from God that is only supposed to be given to my original mate, right? Because when you deal with them, you deal straight with the devil and they can do stuff like that to you, right? So I tell a lot of you females, when you're masculine sleep with the karma, do not fuck with them because you will get nanotechnology put in you, like different like entities and little bugs and shit like that will drain your energy. If your masculine is not on point and dealing with the devil, playing in the underworld, do not fuck with him because he's going to bring this bullshit into your energy field. And in ancient Kemer, they call the Ingraga Dungra da Swang that I rear. Basically, it says that a woman who does not know herself because she was so worried about dick and getting her pussy ate or hit that she ended up like going to live with a demon and getting everything taken away from her. That's how they talk. Now, I have to take a break because our ancestors, the way they spoke is very meaning that their speech and their language was so powerful that they would start complete and total wars that would end even in the same sentence because they were so crisp and clean and clear and concise and straight to the point that there was no room for bullshit or fuckery because that is of the duat. That's exactly what that means. Right. So now if her head is like turned like all the way here where you can see her head backwards and like she's like facing you with her head tilted all the way back, that is saying I have been completely usurped. I am no longer a priestess. I'm no longer a high priestess. I'm no longer a female. I'm now a demon. Right. So this is how they used to create demons back in the day through sex. Right. And these things are saying that they're saying that these are the energies of all the women that I've touched and tempered. It does not matter. They gave it to me willingly, even though I usurped them. I'm a fake high priest. So now another thing that you need to also realize too, as high priest and high priestess, is you need to be careful about who you're merging with. That's why a lot of you guys are getting your mate right now. So there's no confusion because you need your mate for where you're going to be going next. And also that's like a large part of our development is your mate. Some journeys you can walk alone. Some of them you go with somebody together, right? And that's why a lot of you guys are going to be getting your mate because your mate is going to be showing you like, okay, you don't have to be with anybody else. It's me right here. It's not just about sex, it's about spirituality. And you guys are going to be getting upgrades so that you don't get usurped by these fake priests and high priestesses who are now searching for like spiritual dick and pussy because they're dying and they're filled with entities and demons from tying in with satanic magic, playing with satanic technology, and playing with the pale one, right? And losing their melanin because you can still be dark skinned, but your melanin is completely deactivated, right? You can still have melanin as an Asian person, indigenous person, European, African person, Latin person, Hispanic, whatever, and you can have your melanin deactivated completely. Right. So now this is saying, this is how I became a high priest, I went into their garden illegally. I took the fruit of Ingrakaduasane, aka ayahuasca. I took the fruit of Ingrakadusane, aka cannabis. I took the fruit of Ingrakaduasane, aka the drink, the wine. I took the fruit of Ingrakaduasana, aka peyote. And I also took the fruit of Ingrakaduasana asangwarane, which is a psychedelic that does no longer live on this planet. It has been completely removed because they started so much shit with this. They almost like destroy the spiritual world, which is what a lot of white people are using now to get access to information and shit like that they should not be having, to just sound spiritual and be, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm a good white person. No, you're not. AKA Jeremy Narby. Some of you guys know about this book. It's called The Serpent and the DNA. He did a lot of that on ayahuasca, and he started a lot of shit in the indigenous Amazonian community. And some of you guys learned about this Pachamama who passed away. She was stabbed in her place, and that was him that was involved in that. And he did that because she banned him from the community after he wrote that book and came there starting shit with ayahuasca. Now a bunch of white people are running through that forest, stealing ayahuasca, fucking up the ecosystem, and starting a bunch of bullshit. And he started, and that's why he's dying as we speak. Now let me show you a little bit more. So now, this is another thing that you are going to be looking into as a high priestess, right? This is like the ancient doors that they would have in ancient Igbo land. This is Odenani, right? And this is saying right here with these lines, it says here, there are two high priestesses who live here. They are our daughters. Please protect them, right? They are protected. And you see the snake that's coming over their head. This is basically like who we know as Tianu, or Tiamat, or Hydra, right? She is protected. And then this is also the what they call the jaguar, right? And he's marked saying that I will destroy anybody who attempts to cross this gate with malice or ill intentions, his spirit, right? They both of their spirit, or sometimes even literally, exactly. Because when you have a deep connection with the spiritual realm and the earth realm, animals just come to you naturally, right? You can even like tame like wild beasts and stuff like that, right? So now, they say here, so when you're a high priestess, you're connected by these animal spirits. Who are the animal spirits that you work with? A lot of people don't even know about the serpent, or they reject the serpent. Oh, that's satanic, that's this, that's that. But the serpent is the most powerful spiritual being. Thank you. Right. So another thing that I want to show you is this. There's a story of a high priest and a high priestess, Ignanancia and Inkankana. Ignanancia they both came here from a different, from outer space with Odenani, which a lot of people do not know about, but I can speak and write Odenani, right? But you want to know what happened to them was Ignancia was very powerful spiritually, so they put her in a sex ritual. 86 men gathered around her to try to rape her and steal her powers. When you're a high priestess, you can put something on yourself, no one but my mate can touch me. But if someone tries to rape you, they will die instantly because you're coated and protected. They knew that as a high priestess, you have a serum in your sperm. As a high priest or a spirit serum in your, right, I'm telling you, who's like, exactly, they're always on me. Or you have a serum in your yoni as a high priestess. And that can actually give people a lot of spiritual gifts and make them a cell, but only if they're a high priest. So it's like, okay, you're trying to like do a puzzle. Okay, this one goes together with that piece, boom, it works. Okay, you're trying to put like an apple with an orange with certain people, and the people don't understand that. So then we're gonna steal spiritual powers with the rape and da-da-da-da. All of them died. But the three women that set her up, they're right here. And this is what happened to them. And this is what's going to be happening to a lot of you fake ass bitches, especially on YouTube. I've seen a lot of you guys that were in the virtual reality simulation, stealing my work, stealing the work of the ancestors, disrespecting the ancestors, playing with the white man, playing with Ingora in here, basically illegal technologies that are both spiritual, of spirit, of the computer and of paper, right? And wanting to be a high priest or high priestess, right? So a lot of you guys have been seeing this stuff. Right, like where did they get this from? This sound like professional high priestess. That's where they're getting it from. Some of you guys like, I want to come in the virtual reality simulation. Just look at my picture and you'll get pulled right in. And a lot of you guys did that and you're there. And you see what's currently going on, right? So these females, they're binded all the way up together, right? You see them, they have no, they have their arms like binded up. Their arms were cut off. Their arms were cut off, meaning that I will never misuse my hands to do evil work. And when they reincarnate with no arms, or they lose their arms, or they lose like a limb, right? So they cannot do evil, vicious works, right? And then they were given a false crown that completely blocks their crown chakra. So in every lifetime that they reincarnate, they will be blocked completely spiritually, right? A lot of the karmics that you guys guys deal with, they are of this bloodline, or these women are trying to work with them or usurp them so they can get those things taken off in the spiritual realm, right? Hey, I'm gonna come in your body and play with you. Can you take this shit off me? Or I'll like take up all your nice spiritual energy and try to put myself in that, even though I'm covered in shit. They cover their bodies in feces and different like vermin and not bees, vermin and insects and shit like that, and paraded them all around the place. These are the illegal priests who help them. You see them right here, exactly. And these are the animals that are going with them, that are going to chase them throughout the spiritual realm and make sure that they are binded. And they still have this place till today, the Igbo land, to let people know this is what happened to the people that set up in Kinkana and Ignacia. They were soulmates. Neferkapata was the higher self of in Kinkana, and Neferkapata Swasina, right? She was the higher self of Ignacia. Right. And because they got put in the duat, they were not there to be able to rectify that and stop that. Some of you guys know about that thing that is called Lakumisi in the Haitian tradition. It's a demon, but he was once a man. He tied into this ritual, this satanic ritual. He was a cousin of Ignacia, right? Not like the cousin, but he knew her, right? They were like shared family, things like that, because everyone in Igbo land was like connected. They were like the king and the queen. There were people did not agree because they didn't want to go to war and start shit and do sex rituals. So the way he got his powers was by trying to rape her and put her in a ritual, but that did not work. So the ritual that he did was, I'm gonna basically usurp my physical body and I want it to become all powerful. He did not know he would have to give up his body. He turned into that thing that's called the Lakumisi. It's in Haiti. How do they make the Lakumisi? It's a psychic demon that will go and spy on people and then tell you what's going on, or start a bunch of bullshit and give people like the wrong information, or whisper in their ear. Basically, that means in ancient Kemet, I will whisper fuckery and madness in your ear so that you think that is correct, and eventually what will happen is you will create so much error and fuckery that you will ruin your own destiny. That's what that means. So what happened to him was he turned into the Lakumisi when he tied into that ritual, and a lot of people saw that in the virtual reality simulation, because a lot of these demons are being broken down and returned to sender and being put in the duat now. So now, how do you make a Lakumisi spirit? And this is very sinister, and you guys are going to put this all together because a fake high priest. You have to get the bones of a child. In Haiti, there's a lot of orphanages. They take a little child, they murder that child with ritual sacrifice, right? Then they soak the body in acid and let all the bones float to the surface. They take the bones, soak it in another chemical that like deteriorates the bones and turns them into powder, then smush them up, right? They do this like 4 or 5 times a year, and they sell this powder. It costs like $10,000 a bag, right? And then they use that in candle work or picture work or jar work to be able to spy on people psychically or for powers or for ritual purposes, right? That's how they like basically like give offering to Lakumisi. It's a little child spirit, because little children are very spiritual and very pure, right? And in the yokai, the yokai tradition, there's like basically like a demon that will follow you when you abuse children, and it's called Chopirako, right? Chopirako, exactly. And that's a demon that's basically like a spirit that's called on people who misuse and abuse children, even sexually, or they murder children who are not supposed to be like passed on. Right. So then when you have a daemon is also created. So you guys need to know this. Every time a demon is created or gets power or excels, a daemon is created or gets a new power or excels. Right. Daemons are different from demons. Demons are like dark demonic forces that cause chaos and havoc. Daemons are basically created to combat demons, and they have like dark powers too, and they're also of a dark force. But this dark force is like, it's rectifying too much darkness, because you can be too dark. There's such thing as too dark, there's such thing as too light. Exactly. So I have to show you guys this as well too, because this is what happens to a legal priestess. And a lot of these karmics, this is happening to them right now spiritually. They're getting their arms cut off, they're getting their legs cut off, they're being covered in the dua, aka feces, and being paraded around their community to be shown, look at who you are, Dodo Mickey, right? And you guys forgot Dodo Mickey. I'm gonna show you guys one more time. Dodo Mickey, because Dodo Mickey is gonna become a lot of you guys, right? And I'm gonna read her hieroglyph. This is Dodo Mickey, right? She's covered in eyes right now, right? This is also Dodo Mickey, right? This is also Dodo Mickey, right? And look at, she's a white woman, right? They're gonna be covered in so much Dodo Mickey. A lot of these white women in the spiritual community, there's a lot to be talked about with them. And I'm gonna talk about that in a whole episode, right? Yeah, there's a lot. Mana is one of them, all of them. And even though the ones that are melanin, but they're still acting like the pale one, they're in trouble as well too. And that Lakumisi spirit, you guys know that I was getting gang stuck. A lot of these tarot readers who are getting caught the fuck up now, right? And one of the readers was saying, she was saying like, oh, yeah, I put in my video, somebody's going to get exposed. Ask Professional High Priestess. It's because she's going to get exposed and she's going to prison. She's already been booked in Chowchilla and it's good on none, right? She's a Dodo Mickey too, stealing all my work, and that's when no one pays her attention. You notice her channel's no longer demonetized. This is a Dodo Mickey too, but this one is like of the Middle Eastern tradition. In the Pashtuni tradition, they call her Akra. That's when Akra is singing. Basically, the woman that would try to steal someone else's tradition and become a high priestess, and now she's covered like a beast, right? That's what they call her, and she's covered with all these bags to like saddle her down. And this means that these are all the bags of like spiritual treasures and gold that she tried to steal from other people. Right. So they have one across every single like culture, right? And this is to like rectify the balance and to also like put people in their place. Before, these people were very visible. Now they are going to become more visible, and they're also very visible spiritually, right? Right. This is Dodo Mickey as well too. This is what she really looks like, right? She looks like somebody named Barbara. Now this is saying, I can read these two. They're really dope. It's saying here, I am Dodo Mickey. This is her name, Dodo Mickey. This is a sign, this is a testament to what I did. I will tell you my story. Back in this time, what I did was I stole from someone who was very powerful spiritually because I wanted her mate. I wanted her body. I wanted her looks. I wanted everything about her. I wanted her face. This turned into a chaos and disaster and destruction, and chaos happened to me because I tried to bring it into her life. Not only did she get everything that she wanted and more, she went off with the mate and had everything that she wanted in abundance. I got nothing. Instead, I received the curse of Dodo Mickey. Dodo Mickey is a spirit, and this spirit basically is now me. I'm embodying the spirit. It was looking for a home the whole time. What I did not know was that Dodo Mickey was working in me to work against her just so she can have a body. Now I know that I was being used and that I was usurped to do the work of the dark arts. But now I turned into a daemon instead. And what I will do is I will do the work of God, and I will do the work of the high priest and the high priestess to rectify the balance of the fake high priest and high priestess. That's exactly what this is saying. Okay. What I will do is I will make sure that anybody who steals from the high priest or the high priestess, or anybody who lies and pretends that they are a high priest or high priestess without going through their ordination or their rites of passage, they will suffer. They will perish. Some will die. They will lose everything. They will suffer poverty. They will suffer hunger. They will suffer lack. They will suffer barrenness. They will suffer issues in their womb. And basically, this is called in the ancient Japanese hyperdimensional language. It's called agrawatasu makarwir. Ar garakwasa katakwasa near. Ar gragwa takwa sakwa dakra near. Meaning that your womb is filled with different worms and different demons and different entities that are going to teach you a lesson about disrespecting the womb or disrespecting the energy of a high priestess who's all about the primordial womb and who is a walking womb because she is walking creation. Boom. That's what that means. So now she says, because I have done that, I am now cursed. I am covered in eyes. They blink, they cry, they scream, they talk to me all day. My face is covered because I will never have a mate. My quest is now to curse everyone who disrespects the high priest or the high priestess or tries to steal from them. And I will do this by taking one eye off of my body and putting it onto theirs. I will do this by taking their eyes and putting it onto me so that I can see better, because that is the way that I can live my life. As long as I have eyes covering my body that can see better and see good, by usurping their eyes and giving them these demonic eyes that are blind and lead me deeper into treachery, that is better. This is the path that I have chosen as Dodo Mickey. This is a sign. This is the only true testament of who I am. When you read this, you will know that I am a daemon, not a demon. Right? This symbol right here together means that I am a demon. And you notice that, what does it look like? It looks like what? Saturn, the symbol of Saturn, because it is, right? And then look, what is this right here? Meaning that I'm split in several places. It kind of looks like a lightning bolt, but it says I'm split in several places, right? Now you see my story. Now you know who I am. Take heed. This is a warning. So anyways, you guys, that's enough for tonight. I had to just come on here and like spit some game for a lot of you, because there's a lot going on. On my Patreon, I'm putting the rest, because you guys saw a lot of hieroglyphs and Fengas, and I'll be reading the rest of my channel on Patreon. It's only $10 a month. I'll be reading like several of these out, one episode a month, and then also like where you guys can find more information and talking about a lot more stuff and like mentioning like different hyperdimensional languages. And one of the episodes, you guys are gonna get your hyperdimensional name. So we can do all that kind of stuff. So this is how I'm going to be teaching online, because tarot, I love tarot and I'm ordained to read tarot. And you guys are starting to notice, why can't you read anymore? Because the ritual sacrifice that they tied into to have spiritual gifts and powers, right, by tying to a demon that's sitting at their consciousness is broken, because that demon is gone, right? Like when we see in other ones, right? There's another one called Ingragagwangagir, right? And that means I'm a psychic demon that I will come onto you. And while you think that you are getting any spiritual gifts and powers by committing treachery, I'm actually taking everything that God actually gave you, because you already had it inside of you. You see how that works, right? So I'm no longer reading tarot, but I will actually be doing things like, I think I'm going to start doing like once a month, like maybe cowrie shell readings, like, because I practice a different divination. So I'll do some of that for the collective, and it'll be by like element.